Life got you down? Feeling a bit frustrated? Not sure what to do? Well, you have stopped by the right place. Living Life Victoriously is your station for inspiration, encouragement, and refueling. Here we will discover together what it means to live a victorious life with your host, Victoria E. Henderson. I want you to know that you are not alone. So sit back, relax, just for a little while, and let's talk about it.
Good evening. Good evening. I don't know what's going on tonight. It seems like there's a little bit of lagging with the internet tonight. But we're gonna try to get through this. Good evening, good evening. Hello, let me send the let me send the live to a few folks and then we'll get started. Good evening, everybody. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How are you? This is my first show of February 2026. Come join in one and all. All right. Listen, that's all I'm going to do. Okay. All right. I'll wait a few minutes for everybody to come in just a little bit. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome one, welcome all to Living Life Victoriously. Yes, yes. Happy February. Happy Black History Month. Oh my goodness. It just seems like it's lagging tonight. I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm going to try to be still and see if it'll calm down just a little bit while I let me add in two more people. You guys, thank you for your patience. I am not feeling my best tonight, but I said I'm going to come on anyway and just talk for a little bit. All right, let's do this. I am your host, Victoria E. Henderson, and you are on the show, Living Life Victoriously. I like to say here, living life victoriously, that it's not my way, but it's God's way. Let's try to find a way where we can live together, work together on this journey called life. I don't have all the answers, but maybe you do. You may have an answer to a question that I may have, and I may have the answer to the question you have. And together, we find a way to make it work. And so that's what I mean by living a victorious life. I don't believe personally that we should wait until we have made it to heaven over yonder, but that on this journey called life, we can have happy moments, we can have happy times. And to me, that is living victoriously. Again, I apologize tonight for how the show is looking. It is clearly I'm having internet issues, and if it doesn't clear up in a little bit, I will just, you know what? That's all I can do for today. But anyway, you're watching Living Life Victoriously on ALH Broadcasting Network's channel. And I am on live on Facebook and live on YouTube on ALH Broadcasting. This broadcast will be repeated this coming Saturday at 6:00 p.m. So if you don't have a chance to catch it, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for being with us. Good evening, Nikayeta. How are you tonight, darling? I'm glad you made it on. Are you hearing me okay? On my end, it is seeming like it is lagging a little bit. And I'm not sure, it's cold here tonight. I'm not sure what is going on, but it just want to make sure the broadcast is doing all right enough to continue. Have you how has your day been? You good? Just let me know. Yes, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Paula. How are you tonight? Thank you for being with us. On my end, I'm showing a little bit of a lag, and so I just want to make sure that we're good for tonight. If not, I'm going to have to sign off and um come back on in 2 weeks, the way we can get it together. But so far so good, right? Is that everything okay? How you, Paula? You all right, Nick? Had a good day today? I hope so. I hope everybody had a good day, and that you're safe and warm. We made it through all the storms and the ice. Okay, I'm sorry, honey. You're going through something. I'm sorry. I am I didn't think I was gonna make it on tonight. It just seems that the enemy is trying real hard to stop the broadcast. All of a sudden, my leg is really, really hurting me. My with arthritis, it is just like twanging. And I said, nope, I'm going to go on anyway, and talk for a little while. And if it gets too overwhelming, um, I'll stop. But I wanted to go on and show everybody what sometimes what I go through. It's not always easy for me. But I thought, okay, don't give up, don't give in. Just keep fighting. But I'm hurting. And that's what my day has been like. I mean, just literally from this morning, is like Kayetta know, she talked to me this morning that I was hurting before I even left the house this morning. So it's just been crazy. Paula says, I'm doing great. Good day. That's good. How's dad? Um, and your image is sort of blurry. I know my image is a little blurry tonight. I'm not, I don't know. I don't think I'm in a good area tonight, but I'm gonna keep on going. I'm just gonna keep on going. And tonight I wanted to talk about why I go to church. That it just always ask God what I should talk about. Nikki says the pain is real. Yeah, this pain has been real all day today. And I made it home and I laid across the bed for a little while and I started not to come on. But I said, no, nope, nope, nope. I'm gonna keep on. And I'll go to bed afterwards. But for tonight, I'm gonna keep going. Paula says, Dad is good. Thank you for asking. Good. So I'm glad you had a good day. And I'm sorry whatever you're going through, Nick, it's gonna be all right. But okay, let me get into what God gave me to talk about today. In keeping with Black History Month, I've been seeing a lot of Black History posts and sharing stories of Black excellence and Black brilliance and Black innovations and Black sustenance and how we've overcome. But I wanted to make it a little more personal tonight. I was watching a Black History moment in a couple of churches. I did go to church yesterday, and when I came home, I was watching. I watched two different church services, and they were talking about moments in Black history and how the Black church has evolved. And I thought to myself, Victoria, all these years, why do you go to church? And I thought about why I had switched my religion. I was raised in a certain religion, but when I got older, it just didn't resound well with me anymore. And so, I went in search of something better for me in my life and my children. And I've belonged to about four different churches, 4 or 5 different churches in my life. A couple of them were the same religion, a couple of them were different religions. stemming from Seventh-day Adventist to um, Pentecostal, non-denominational, holiness. And I, through all of that, there was a common theme, and that was me. And in my searching, and I am transitioning from one church to another again, as I believe God is leading me. But in all of that, I wanted to answer the question for myself: why do I still go to church? Why is that still important to me? And so I wrote a few things out, and so I wanted to just share that with you tonight. Um, and I'm going to say it like this: why I go to church. Before church was a building, it was a gathering. And this is also our Black History moment. It was a gathering. Before it was organized, church was necessary. If you understand what I mean. For Black people in America, church was never just about Sunday morning. Church was about survival, right? Church was about survival. When enslaved Africans were forced into white churches, where the message was obedience, not freedom, they created their own sacred spaces, sometimes secretly, right? Sometimes in the woods, sometimes it was in whispers. They prayed to a God who didn't justify bondage, but promised deliverance. Somehow or another, they found the scriptures. And we understand that they had the slave Bibles, where the stories such as the Hebrew slaves coming out with Moses at the helm, those passages were taken out of the slave Bibles. But somehow our people found them. Now, out of that resistance came the Black church as we know it. Thank you, Paula. Paula says, awesome question for deep reflection. And it is. Why do I, go to church? And I think I thought about that because I don't want it to seem as if I'm going just because. But I just wanted to find out for myself as I thought about it, what are the reasons why I believe the things that I believe? Hi, Francina. Good evening to you. So out of that resistance came the Black church as we know it. Institutions that were built by us, for us. And if you think about denominations such as the African Methodist Episcopal Church, founded after Black worshipers were literally pulled off their knees for praying in the wrong place. You think about that. Think about that. So the Black church has always become and always was more than worship, just worship. The Black church was a school where education was denied. It was a meeting place when political space was forbidden. It was a refuge when the world was unsafe. We had the church, a stage when no other stage was available. The church became a place where Black people could sing, speak, organize, grieve, celebrate, and be seen. And be seen. And we know the Negro spirituals came out of the songs that they sung to get the messages across when it was time to go, right? And so the history matters. That history matters because that's the church that I come from. That's the foundation of church that I know about. People wonder why they go to church. And I ask myself, I wasn't even asking anybody else why they go to church. I want to ask myself why I went. And the truth is, I just don't remember a time when I didn't. When growing up, I didn't remember a time. I remember a time as I've gotten older when I didn't, because I was searching for a church that I felt where I belonged and that was okay for me to go to. But when I was a child, there was a time that I don't remember ever not going. My mother was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist religion when she was pregnant with me. So before I even had a name, before I had language, before I could even speak, church was already in me. It was already in my body. So church wasn't something that I found later in life. It's the first environment that I ever knew. I was raised in church. I sang in choirs as a child. I was in the youth choir, the children's choir. And then when I got to be about 9 or 10, I had a strong voice. And the choir director, Sylvia Williams, she called me Miss Vicky, and she had me come sing with the adult choir. And she sat me, made me stand in the middle, and then everybody else, was around me. And but my voice projected, so I was in the adult choir. So, I performed in plays and little programs. I even attended a church school that was affiliated with the Seventh-day Adventist religion. I went from kindergarten, not kindergarten. Kindergarten, I went to public school, but from first grade to 12th grade, from the first grade all the way through 12th, I attended a church school. And then I went to church with all of my friends. We saw each other from, I would say, Monday through Saturday, because we went on Saturday. So church raised me. The people in church raised me, and I still have friends to this day from that experience. And not just spiritually, church taught me how to stand in front of people. I think church was the grounding for even this kind of program. So I knew how to speak, how to use my voice, how to listen. Church taught me how to feel something deeply and express it honestly. The first stage I ever stood on was one at church. I was about 5 years old. And I remember my mother had promised me, if I said I think it was Easter program. If I said the Easter program right, I love seeing say toys, when you pull the string and the little thing would say like cow, and the cow goes moo. I love the see and say toy. So my mother had promised me a see and say toy if I said my piece. And I got up on the stage, and I was saying it all the way to church and everything. And I got up on that stage and I looked out at the crowd. Yeah, I just stood there. My mother was on the side. Vicky, go ahead and say it. And I was stage. I couldn't say it. I think she still gave me the toy though. But so that was the first time I was even on stage, was in church. The first audience that ever clapped for me was that congregation. So that's what the Black church does. It gives children lines and Christmas plays and tells them, speak up, we want to hear you. And that's certainly what happened with me. No, that's funny, right, Paula? It teaches harmony, not just in music, but in life. How to hold your own note while still listening to everybody else. I'm going to say that again because that's powerful. Church, it teaches harmony, not just in music, but in life. How to hold your own note while still listening to everybody else. It makes space for testimony that sounds like real life, messy life, joyful life, grieving life, hopeful life. So when I say I go to church, what I really mean is I return to the place that helped form me. I go to church because I remember who I was before the world told me who I should be. Yeah, let me say that again. I go because it helps me remember who I was before the world told me who I should be. I go because my voice learned how to live there. I go because faith for me was never abstract, it was practiced out loud. That faith that I had when I go to church, I get to be around people who are like minded, who are struggling. But when we come together, we come to worship. And that corporate worship does something for my heart, my soul, more than worshiping alone. So that's why I go. I saw it yesterday when I went. We had been out of church for a few weeks because of the ice, but I went to Victory at Calvary Covenant Mysteries, and when I got there, just being among people who are not ashamed to raise their hands, who are not ashamed to tell God thank you, who are not afraid to pray out loud and show through tears that we are struggling with something. Those are the reasons why I go to church. And so I don't go to church because I'm perfect. Not at all. I go because church has taught me how to keep showing up anyway. And when I went yesterday, I had my leg wrapped in a brace, and I had my walker. But I was determined that I was going yesterday. I knew I could hurt at home, but I knew I could hurt at church as well. But when I got there, someone helped me. Someone opened the door, and then when church was over, my godson helped me out to the car and put my walker. So that feeling of community, that feeling that I would get help, that help was on the way. That's why I go. And so I go again because church taught me how to keep showing up anyway. And that's my why. That is my why. Hang on. So church isn't just where I worship, church is where I come from. It really is where I come from. And I answered those questions for myself. Wait, hold on. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I wanted to share, and thank you, y'all. I as I'm transitioning into one place to another, because sometimes I've been kind of beating myself up, like, why can't I just stay put? But at where I was at, I've been there for like 14, 15 years. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something not the same for me anymore. And I've been trying to figure out what it is. And I really can't put my finger on one thing. But I do know this much. It is okay. It is okay to, as you evolve and you find yourself in a different season of your life, it is okay to find a place that fits the season where you are. It's okay. And I don't look at it as church hopping, because I'm not a church hopper. I'm not a person who finds that, okay, somebody did something to me over here, or somebody said something about me, so I'm not going back there anymore. 'Cause I'm not that thin skinned. I'm not that. So it's taken me a while to admit that has been time for me to move on. It's taken me a minute. But in this self-reflection that I have and this journey that I'm on, it really is okay. I just like I'm not in the church that I grew up in. It, it's nothing wrong with that. And so I want to encourage anybody out there that is looking for a place to go. Don't stop going, because that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to stop going. And yesterday's experience showed me that the community, the the roots of why I do what I do is there, and it's always going to be there in my heart, and that's not going to change. I love God. I love his people. I love being in a community where I can serve, where the talents and gifts that God gave me can be used. And I also believe that church is not just the four walls. Church is tonight. Church is like using this platform that God has blessed me with to be able to encourage somebody else that's given me just 2.5 seconds of not being able to concentrate on myself and my own pain. That's church for me. It's church without walls. And so I I'm going to stay on this path. I'm going to stay on the path that I'm on to find, keep being, keep showing up in community, but also encouraging others to know that whatever path you find yourself on, it's okay. It's okay to step back. It's okay to reevaluate. It really is all right. It's all right if the church that you've been going to for 50, 11 years just is not where you find yourself wanting to be. Because I found that for me, if you go into a place and you find yourself going out the door the same way you came in, it's a problem. It's a problem. And so you should listen to your inner voice. But I'm not going to stop going to church. I'm not going to stop searching and seeking. And I may worship at home sometimes, but I know that yesterday's experience was just another reinforcement, another confirmation to me that church is in me. It's all up through me. I am a church girl, and that's not going anywhere. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's people who say, "Well, I don't. You don't need all that." But I know that for me, I do need all that. I do need what I got yesterday. And as the sermon was going forth, the sermon was talking about shift. And as I find that every time I go to church, I get what I need. God meets me there. I get a word that I need that's necessary for my life. And if we remember the roots of why we have church, why church was even brought, like I talked about tonight, why we were brought together. And I think, what was that line? It said about where we created our own sacred spaces. I love that. And a church, a place where Black people could speak, sing, organize, grieve, celebrate. All of that, I found that yesterday, as my heart is hurting about some things that were happening in my life, and I was able to um, cry and worship. And when I left service yesterday, I actually felt a little lighter. I did. And so I want to challenge you in your own Black history moment. What does church mean to you? Just do some self reflecting. What does it mean to you? Is it just something that we do every Sunday just because? Or that Paula said, yes, we need all of that. Yes, I needed all of that yesterday. I needed the victory. I needed to celebrate. I needed to lift my hands up and tell God, thank you, together, corporately. And I needed to cry. We cried together. Some of us cried together. And my goddaughter, um, when the church got to shouting, and even the shout, y'all, you know that even the shouting part is something that we as Black people needed. Shouting comes from, when we would celebrate as a Black people back in Africa, we'd have the drums and the people just shout, and this, oh, that comes from that. That's a victory dance. So even in among that, my goddaughter came over because my leg was wrapped up. She shouted for me. She danced for me when I couldn't do it for myself. That wouldn't have happened had I stayed home. That fellowship that we needed. And I also want to encourage you, sometimes people will do and say things because the devil goes to church too. The enemy of our souls go to church too. And sometimes he comes just to discourage us because something happened as soon as I walked into church yesterday. Um, I was going to go sit someplace and somebody took their cane, and slapped it up on the seat. And I just kind of looked and I said, okay. And I just went and sat someplace else. But had I been in another frame of mind, well, I know I came to worship. I know I came to praise. And I wasn't going to let that deter me from doing it. But had I been a weaker person, or, somebody whose mind could easily bother, I'd have walked out and never came back to the church. But nah, I'm not going to let that stop me from getting my praise on. And so I hope that doesn't discourage you. Like when you go to church and somebody may look you up the funny, or you may think they're looking at what you have on or whatever. Don't let that discourage you from your purpose and your goal. And that's why I'm saying reflect on that as we are in this Black History Month, as we thinking about the Black church and thinking about what it has meant in your own life. Let it be a guide for you. Do not let anybody else steal your joy or your praise, because we're not there for people. And I let them tears flow. I'm telling you, by the time I left church, there was not much makeup left, but it was okay. It was okay. And you know how sometimes when you have a very high church service and you need that after church nap. I felt like I needed that nap, but I felt good because I felt like my burdens had been lifted. I felt like God had heard my cry, and he lifted the burden that I was feeling on my way to church. And so that is why I go to church. That is my why. Thank you so much, Elder Hunt. I say always encouraging. Thank you for always being real. Oh, thank you so much. And I promise you guys, about 5 minutes before I was getting ready to come on, I started to not come on because I'm telling you, this leg is just doing what it's going to do. But I said, no, I'm going to press on a little bit because there's somebody that needs to hear this. Me, first of all, me first. I needed to hear all of this. I needed to talk about my whys. And I want to encourage you to, as we are in Black History Month, we know Black History is more than just a month. But it's these kind of stories, these kind of connections that we have with our community. I want us to think about. It's not just about Martin Luther King Jr., not just about Rosa Parks. And all those things are wonderful. The March on Washington is just it's not all about that. But I want us to make it personal, make it real. What about our history makes you proud? What is it that we can change in our corner? And for me, this is how I shape my little corner. I encourage you to think about, what is your place in the world? What is it that makes your chin stick up a little higher and you stand a little taller in your Blackness? I am Black history because I'm making it each and every day, and you are too. All right. That is it for tonight, guys. I tell you, I'm not gonna be on you long. Paula says, thank you for the press. It is so encouraging to hear these personal testimonies. Thank you, Paula. And you know what? I just told God that I believe I'll testify. That's a song I used to sing in the choir. I believe I'll testify while I have a chance, because I may not have this chance again. Okay. And this kind of programming that is going to be available on replay, it is my part in the world, my information to the world, my place in the world. I don't know who's going to see this beyond tonight. I thank all of you for being here. But there might be somebody who watches a replay who's not on the live tonight that needed to hear this. And so that is why I still do this. That's why I push. That's why I love what I do, because God has given me these things so that I could use my voice to help others, not only myself, but to help others. And so that's it. That's going to be it tonight, guys. That is all I have. This was my Black History moment. This was my labor of love. And I encourage you to think about your whys. And again, stand a little taller, stand a little, and to know that you are so worthy of it all. Okay. I love you. Thank you for being here tonight on Living Life Victoriously. It is just my privilege and my honor to be able to do this. And join me in 2 weeks. I'm not sure from tonight. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a guest, or I'm not sure if God will just give me another word to drop. But I appreciate you all being here tonight. If you're on here tonight, I really appreciate each and every one of you, because you are my whys. You are my whys. You make it worthwhile for me, and you make it so that I'm just not talking to the air, but I'm talking to real people. Francina, thank you for sharing, being transparent. I love you too. Mwah. I love all of you. Francina, Paula, Andrea, Nakayeta, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And listen, come back in 2 weeks. And remember, live life out loud, live life on purpose, and live life victoriously. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
I pray something you heard on today's show has helped you and has given you the encouragement to keep on pressing. Let me know your thoughts. You can send me an email at livinglifevictoriously1@gmail.com. Also, for more inspirational content, you can check out my blog called Still Waters over at wordpress.com. Walk in victory daily and join me the 2nd and 4th Mondays of each month. Remember, live life victoriously.